repetitive behavior that you didn't figure out. There's something, beneath that, or that, or you don't have enough. Because in the youth group, you might see like twice a month.
Right.
So.
You haven't really furrowed down to that ultimate need yet.
Yeah. So it's like, I see this. I don't think I figure it out because it's like.
And so when you say repetitive behavior, because, behavior is just communication, is it behavior that is disruptive? Is it behavior that is
Disruptive or negative or something? It's maybe attention calling all the time. So
Yeah. The reason I'm asking for the clarification is because sometimes we just need to pick fewer battles, right? Sometimes we just need to be like, I'm just going to ignore it, right? And so depending on like the type of behavior.
It's not an ignorable behavior. Yeah.
It's something that needs to be addressed. It's kind of attention calling. It's not, maybe it's like a self-esteem. It needs to be addressed. But you don't, as a youth group, you might not have enough time. You don't know that child well. I know that.
So when you were describing it to me, you said it might be attention-getting behavior. So be very careful about giving it public attention. Because if it's attention-getting behavior, if you say, stop doing that, right? Or if you're that.
Or even if you say, please stop doing that.
You're giving it attention. So that might be a great time for a side conversation away from the group to make a plan. And I'm going to say this, and you may not like that I'm saying it, but when you're only with kids a couple times a month, it is really, really hard to, that relationship, that connection we're trying to form over and over again, it's really hard because it's sporadic. Don't underestimate the power of a short-term plan. I think I talked yesterday about like short celebrations. Right, make sure that you're celebrating a good day or making your goal or something in a short way, in quick enough ways. So if you could make a side plan, not a public plan, because if this kid is seeking attention, that's your theory. Public plans will give them exactly. You're not going to extinguish the behavior with a public plan. But if you do a side plan about, hey, I notice you're yelling out in group over and over again. It's really hard to learn. Let's make a plan. If you cannot yell out in group I'm going to put on a timer, depending on the age and the severity. If you can keep quiet for 15 minutes, I'm going to put a straw on the table. If you get 5 straws, then I'm going to tell your parents what a great job you did today. So think about little short-term celebrations. You might have a better example than that.
Well, yeah, no, I think a lot of times we go like, oh, it's attention-seeking behavior, and what do? We give it attention.
Yeah.
Right? Like we give it attention. So like it's really hard. And you said like, you can't just ignore it, but by giving it attention, you're reinforcing it. And so the kid now knows, ooh, if I do this, Susanna gives me attention. And so think about ways to give other attention, right? Like how else can you fill that bucket? I think having the plan beforehand, instead of using your voice to correct, think about how you can use your body to correct. Proximity, standing, when somebody's like keeps chatting in class, it was like my favorite thing to do, like chat, like, just get close to them, just hand on the shoulder, like it's that, so you're not like, Shelli, stop
It's
talking,
also the
stop
reminder,
talking.
so if you make this side plan, you have the plan before class has started, you've had the conversation, you have a new plan, you have an end result of a celebration. I don't know if they care what their parents think, I don't know the age, but you might have some sort of a celebration planned. It could be, sometimes it's a tangible something, sometimes it's a verbal something. You have to decide whatever, make it something the kid will want, and they're gonna shout out, or they shout out, they do the behavior, instead of saying, remember our plan? Remember, don't give it attention. That's when that calm moment. Or sometimes I've had a plan, hey, if you do it, I'm going to remind you by going like this. I'll look at you and just go like this.
Have like a nonverbal signal.
Have a nonverbal signal. Again, this is the hardest part when you have a short term or a quick interactions with kids. It's really tough. So I wouldn't necessarily give you that same advice if you were the classroom teacher and saw them 5 days a week, right? But when you are the leader of a youth group or something where you're seeing them a couple hours a week, those short-term celebrations are even more important. Those quick acknowledgments are even more important.
I have a question. I don't know if I like to negotiate with kids, like if you behave well, you're gonna get something.
I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neither of us do.
Yeah.
And the trade-off is like, how are you going to make it through your 1 hour every weekend, right?
Well, remember
So,
I said a celebration. So it's not necessarily a thing. I've never been big on prize bins. I'm not against them. It works for some people. I'm really into like connecting with kids and moving behavior, as you know, through connection. But it's also realism of you've got a short amount of time. So how can I celebrate the great things you're doing? How can we celebrate together the improvements you're making? How really frame it for yourself in the idea of, wow, I want to teach this child and all these kids. So how can we celebrate in small increments the really great things that are happening in class? Especially if you just have a one-off kid. It's different if you have a whole classroom of them. That might look something different. But because I'm with you, I call that bribery. Like we all have done it a few times, but that's not how we really want to be in community with each other. But celebrating great things happening is different. Yeah.
And
Thanks
we want
for
to
saying
celebrate all the hard work you all are doing. This is hard, and it's sometimes a very thankless job, and you deal with kids not always at their brightest moments. But thank you for choosing this, and thank you for being with kids, because it's important work and it's hard work, and as Shelli said, it's also heart work. So thanks for leading with your heart, and thanks for having us. This is really
awesome.
fun.
I hope we're helpful.